Hey there, YouTube. It's True Outlaw Patriot coming back. Came across this little snippet by Msnbc, the world's leading journalistic news media format. LOL. I'm being totally fucking sarcastic. But listen to this domehead prick and what he's got to say. I call him that because this was also the guy that was in front of burning buildings during the so-called Summer of Love, where he said it's a mostly peaceful riot. Well, he didn't use the word riot, but, demonstration. But I want everybody to listen to what he has to say. I mean, it's just funny how they keep pushing this narrative about Donald Trump. It's just so pathetic that it makes you wonder, like, do these people really wake up, look in the mirror in the morning, and they must look at themselves and say, today my lies will become truth. It's just funny, but anyway, here we go.
The gravest crime that Donald Trump ever committed was to undermine democracy, the will of the people, by trying to overthrow a free and fair election. And today, we saw the first signs that justice may be coming for him. Today, we learned that the ex-president received a letter from the special counsel.
Oh, just so everybody knows, this guy right here, the one that's doing all the investigating, he is I believe, 2 or 3 time failed prosecutor. Jack Smith, I think his name is something Smith. Jack off, who knows? But yeah, so I'm pretty sure people know that by now.
Jack Smith, indicating that he is the target of a criminal investigation into efforts to interfere with the presidential election of 2020, leading to the insurrection on January 6th, 2021. According to Trump, the special counsel gave...
One more thing. It wasn't an insurrection. Again, it was a protest. They're going to keep saying insurrection, then people need to start putting out and changing that narrative because it's not true. An insurrection means they would have taken over the Capitol. They would have went their guns blazing, and a lot of people would have been hurt. And just so people know, because people keep saying it on the left, that it was a deadly day. The only person that got killed was Ashley Babbitt by Capitol Police that shot her point blank. As far as those other 6 supposed Capitol Police that got killed that day, not one of them got killed that day. But let's keep this going.
Gave him a 4-day deadline in which to speak to the Washington, D.C. grand jury hearing the case. It's an offer he will almost certainly not accept, seeing that anything that he says can then be used against him in a subsequent trial. And all of this indicates that the Department of Justice is wrapping up what has been a long and sprawling investigation led by this man, Jack Smith, for the past 8 months. We do not have any indication of what the exact charges are that Smith is considering, and the ex-president said himself, a target letter like this, quote, almost always means an arrest and indictment are coming. That's exactly what happened just last month when Jack Smith sent Trump another target letter regarding the investigation into the mishandling of classified documents. And just days after that letter became public, Smith brought a 37-count indictment against the ex-president,
which also fell apart. But they're going to keep trying to push this narrative with all these false claims. And the reason why the news media is saying is that they don't know what he has. It's because they have nothing, as usual. They're just trying to drag shit out. They're trying to hope if they throw enough shit on the wall, some of it will stick. But it's funny how they're doing all this, but yet it's all hearsay and it's all behind closed doors and it's all paperwork. But when it comes to Biden and his administration, they have audio proof, they have text messages, they have emails, and it goes on and on and on. But to them, no, that shit is not true. Only what we say about Donald Trump, and that's all you have to listen to.
Charging him with 7 federal crimes. Of course, that was already the second indictment against Trump this year, following the 34 counts of falsifying business records charged by this man, the
Manhattan DA, Bragg, who is letting New York turn to shit, my home state, especially me being born and raised in the Bronx under Democratic regime since I was born. And here comes this scumbag coming in and trying to press charges against Trump. It's like, meanwhile, there's people being raped, murdered, and killed. I mean, the looting, just all the drugs, the crime, not to mention the influx of illegal immigrants, the taxpayer money that's going out to them. But all this man could think about is mean old Donald Trump, you know, and yet he lets the city and the boroughs fall apart. Yeah, we're really going to listen to him when the man can't even take care of the city, take care of what he needs to with the people. But no, he wants to go after Donald Trump, another shill, and supposedly paid off and inserted by Soros, so they say. But I digress.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg in April. But this indictment, the third against the ex-president, and if and when it comes, will be by far the most consequential. While some people might argue that the charges about Donald Trump's business practices in New York, for instance, don't really matter, or they just don't care that much about the documents at Mar-a-Lago, there's just no way for a reasonable person with elementary critical thinking skills to deny the seriousness of this case. This is about a real and existential threat to our nation. It's about Donald Trump's attempt and his continuing attempts to undermine and possibly end our democracy as we know it. And in fact, there's already been a long and thorough investigation into this, resulting in the recommendation of multiple criminal charges. That was done by the House January 6th committee.
The failed House committee. And if anybody remembers, this woman right here, Cheney, got ousted, I mean, by a massive margin. I think they said she lost by like 40-50% of her vote. Not to mention Adam Schiff was on this committee. He's another one in the news lately. Everybody knows that he's been pretty much kept in the dark because they basically say, you know what, now you got to stay behind closed doors because you're another shill, you know. But this whole fiasco with this January 6th committee turned out to be nothing. Nothing at all, except some testimony from people that their own names were under question, especially one of the Capitol Police, who they're trying to hide the videotape and screenshots of him being dressed up as a civilian inside the Capitol. And people say, no, it was somebody that looked like him. It's like, really? Wow, he must have a doppelganger of a twin out there. But this is what they're going to keep going on. Again, this January 6th committee came and went, and nothing in it was found to stick to Trump. But they're just going to keep pushing the narrative as if, you know what, if we just keep saying it, people will start believing it. And if you look at my last video when I said what the left does, that they keep screaming and screaming and screaming because they just, you know, they want people to just believe what they say. You know, we scream the loudest, you're going to have to believe it. But like I said before, from that comment I heard from that college student, said that which is about to die screams the loudest. But let's continue.
Last year, they methodically laid out the evidence against the ex-president, showing the American people exactly how he attempted to remain in power against their will. He knew that he had lost the 2020 election, but he spread the lies about the fraud anyway. And his own attorney general at the time, Bill Barr, said this to the committee.
The president said something like, well, we could get to the bottom. You know, some people say we could get to the bottom of this if the department sees the machines. It was a typical way of raising a point. And I said, absolutely not. There's no probable cause, and I'm not going to seize any machines. I said, how long is he going to carry on with this stolen election stuff? Where's this going to go? And by that time, Meadows had caught up with me and leaving the office and caught up with me and said that he said, look, I think that he's becoming more realistic and knows that there's a limit to how far he can take this. And then Jared said, you know, yeah, we're working on this. We're working on it.
Now, that January 6th committee also detailed how Trump launched a massive pressure campaign to try to get nearly all corners of the government to do his bidding, including his own vice president.
He tried to pressure state legislatures to reverse the results of the election in their states.
First of all, that's a flat-out lie. He didn't try to get anybody to reverse anything. In the one conversation he had on the phone, he was asking to find votes to go and check out the machines because something wasn't right. You know, all people have to do is Google how many people registered to vote, how many registered votes went in, and how those votes were given to both sides. You'll be surprised what you find. And the one thing I tell people to keep in mind is to find out how many independent voters voted. Just alone, there was a third candidate that got nearly 2 million votes. If you would just minus those 2 million votes from the 2020 election, you'll see that the votes between Trump and Biden do not add up. In fact, the supposed registered voters, the number is a few million less than the actual votes that went in. Now, people may say, well, that's because, more people voted. No. A registered vote is a registered vote, which means that if you have 10 registered votes, you cannot have 11 people voting. So people need to start doing their research and start doing the math, because all these people know something went down, especially BARR. Trump didn't demand BARR to do anything. He asked him if he could because he knew that BARR had the power to do that. But BARR was always a traitor. I mean, he was part of, leftover from the deep state. Trump was given a certain amount of people that he carried over from the Obama administration. I will give Trump this, that he should have been a little smarter, knowing that a lot of those people from the Obama administration were not out for his best. They were just out to carry over corruption, and they're deep rooted, and this is what a lot of people are not understanding. But anyway, let's continue.
But they refused. He tried to enlist the department.
Oh, and one more thing. I hate to keep cutting it, but as far as Pence, I think Pence really pulled the veil over a lot of people's eyes, which I'm very surprised. Very, very surprised. I never thought I'd see Pence acting the way he is. And some people may say, well, that's because he doesn't agree with Trump. And it's like, no, it's not that he doesn't agree with Trump. It's just that his whole demeanor has changed, almost as if from the beginning, as if he was always against Trump. And it didn't seem like that in the beginning. But at the same time, I mean, who knows what this man's real intentions were, and what kind of sweet tongue he used around Trump in order for Trump to look at him and say, okay, you know what, you can be my vice president. I will say that Trump can be gullible with certain people, but I think it's because of the fact he wants to give everybody a second chance and say, okay, you were this way, but if you work for me, we can be that way, which is not, it's a fault, but it's not something that makes him incompetent. I truly believe that Trump tries to give people 2 and 3, chances, but again, this is politics, so I'm sure that now Trump understands and says, you know what, there's no such thing as keeping people in government who've been there year after year, decade after decade, and then possibly not being part of the swamp creatures. And I think that that's why he's so adamant this time around that when he wins in 2024, he's really going to shake up Washington. And by right, he should. By right, he should.
Department of Justice in his efforts to overturn election results, but officials leading the department refused to comply. So eventually, he latched on to a completely nonsensical and anti-democratic theory that one man, his own vice president, could determine the outcome of the election. He wanted the vice president to unilaterally select the president.
And of course,
and first of all, that's not true. Okay, so that dude right there, he's talking out his ass, because Trump was trying to give everybody their freedom to act accordingly, just like he knew that Nancy Pelosi was in charge of security at the Capitol. And there has been proof, and it's come out, that he wanted security at the Capitol 2 days before, and it was up to Nancy Pelosi to finish signing off on it, but she didn't, because she knew the outcome that they wanted. They wanted that protest to just fall apart. So again, when I listen to what Pence has to say, and I look at what Pelosi has to say and what everybody has to say, it's almost as if, you know what, from the beginning they were like, we're gonna play along with them, and then we're all gonna fucking tear them down, because it's just part of the deep state mindset. You know, they embed themselves in like fucking bed bugs, and then while you're asleep, they all fucking start taking a piece of you. And I truly believe that, and I've lost total respect for Pence. As far as Bill Barr, it doesn't surprise me. I was even against the fact that when he carried him over from the Obama administration, and people say, well, you know, he's been around for a bunch of presidents, but look at all the presidents before Trump. They were all fucking corrupt. So right there in itself, I think that's where Trump messed up on. He should have said, you know what? You have been part of the last, I believe it was the last 6 presidencies. They were all fucking corrupt. I don't want you. But hopefully his next pick will be way better. So it'd be nice to see who he gets. But let's continue.
Of course, on the advice of his own lawyers, Mike Pence decided that that was not his role. Donald Trump then summoned a violent mob of his supporters, hurling them at the Capitol in a bloody attack on American democracy.
Trump has given us marching order.
And first of all, I love the way they say that. They say a bloody attack. The only blood that was spilled was Ashley Babbitt's blood. Did people get hurt and maybe somebody got a little cut here and there and somebody got smacked over the head? Yeah, of course. But it wasn't exactly what they're trying to say it is, because right now they're still trying to hide the fact. Christopher Wray won't admit how many undercover FBI agents were there. And if everybody, I hope that nobody forgets, there is a man called Mike Epps who's under investigation, who is actually on video multiple times and on the phone bragging to his nephew of how he got these people riled up. He's on video telling people they have to storm the Capitol, and protesters are telling him, no, don't storm the Capitol. So all this is a big time inside fucking hit job. And you got all these assholes, all these Democrats sitting here like they're so holy, you know, lying to the American people, lying to their own constituents. And the thing about it is that more and more proof is coming out of how corrupt the left is, that more and more people from the left are either quitting the Democratic Party, becoming independent, or they're opening up and saying, you know what, now I am on Trump's side. That's why right now Trump's ratings have gone up over 50%. The more they hit on him, the more popular he gets, because people are sick and tired of the corrupt lies from the left. Big time.
One post on the Donald.win wrote, basically, if you're east of the Mississippi, you can and should be there. Advance on the Capitol.
One user asked, is the 6th D-Day? Is that why Trump wants everyone there? Another asserted, Trump just told us all to come armed.
I overheard the president say something to the effect of,
okay, those things right there, all bullshit. Total bullshit. Okay? And I say that because they have Biden and his son on the phone talking. They have text messages that were sent. Now they have a newspaper clipping or whatever that was, that anybody could have wrote that. That's number one. Trump never once came out and said, come armed. That's what they're making up. Okay? Because nobody has yet to hear that videotape, if there's one, that audio tape, or see a videotape or anything like that. And if people say, well, he tweeted it, no proof. He texted it. Everybody knows, and Trump has said it himself, he has never used text messages. So if anybody comes on and says that, oh, one of his text messages, it's a false. The man does not share text messages. And there's a reason for that. And people might say, oh, he's trying to hide something. It doesn't matter what you think. But don't assume and don't point the finger at somebody and accuse them of doing something or communicating in a certain way that they don't. And I think that everybody knows right now, and that's why a lot of people like Trump, even people from the left that are turning sides, because they know that he's straightforward. If he's got something to say, he's going to say it. And here's a man who is talking about having peace, closing the borders, stopping wars. Do you actually think this man will want chaos from within to have his supporters come armed? It's just straight up bullshit. Straight up bullshit.
You know, I don't effing care that they have weapons. They're not here to hurt me. Take the effing mags away. Let my people in. They can march to the Capitol from here. Let the people in. Take the effing mags away.
That was the former White House aide, Cassidy Hutchinson, recounting how Trump wanted the mags removed. Those are magnetometers that help detect guns.
Right. Again, this woman, she came out telling her side of the story, did not bring no checks and balances, nothing. That's why her name dropped off the media, because they just needed somebody to just throw in some more words and put in some more storyline. And again, she disappeared from the media. Why? Because it's fucking bullshit. It's all bullshit. And they know it. But you have jackals like this continuing the narrative. And this is the problem with this country. When you got the mainstream media, they keep on with this false narrative. This narrative of hate. This narrative of just straight out lies. While the whole time they're trying to cover up their own corruption. Especially with the Biden administration. Way more proof, way more checks and balances against Biden and his administration. And a lot of people on the left. But no, like I said before, don't worry about what's on our side of the fence. We'll worry about what's on your side of the fence. That's their thinking.
At the end of the January 6th investigation and after 10 public hearings, the committee referred 4 criminal charges against Donald Trump to the Department of Justice.
We proposed to the committee advancing referrals where the gravity of the specific offense, the severity of its actual harm, and the centrality of the offender to the overall design of the unlawful scheme to overthrow the election compel us to speak. Ours is not a system of justice where foot soldiers go to jail and the masterminds and ringleaders get a free pass.
You know, it's funny that he says that. Meanwhile, when it comes to Black Lives Matters and Antifa, the left were egging them on. I mean, there's been actual footage and video with Maxine Waters inciting riots, with other politicians on the left inciting riots. I mean, Chuck Schumer, I mean, him going after Gorsuch, you know, you're going to reap the whirlwind, you know, and shit like that. And this man has the nerve to say something like that. But it's like, you know, you people on the left incite violence and riots and people being murdered, and that's you calling on your foot soldiers. And nobody's gone to fucking prison. I just read an article today, I believe it's on Truth Social also, where New York is going to pay out, I believe, $16 million to rioters in New York. And it's like, for what? I got to read up some more on it, but if it turns out to be true, it's like, for what? You're going to pay the criminals? Well, I tell you what, if that's the case and it turns out to be true, I say all the victims need to go to those rioters, since now they'll have money, and sue the fucking living shit out of them and take all that fucking money back. That's rightfully theirs.
But until now, that's exactly what's happened. The foot soldiers have gone to jail, and the masterminds and the ringleaders have, for the moment, had a pass. So here we are, 7 months later, at an historic moment with the Department of Justice.
And that's bullshit about the foot soldiers. Were there some people in during the protest at the Capitol in the wrong? Yes. But more and more proof is coming out that a lot of people that were innocent have been arrested, even to the point that they had people going to their houses to arrest them, and all their crime was being on the grounds, you know. But that's how they do it, just like the fucking Gestapo, just like the real fascists, the real fucking Nazis, where they go knocking on your fucking door and arrest you in the middle of the fucking night. You don't see Antifa being rounded up. You don't see people from Black Lives Matter being rounded up. Oh no. But you got, like I said, egghead shows like this pushing a narrative saying that the leaders stay home and the foot soldiers go to prison. Oh, now you care? Really? Now you care about the fucking foot soldiers? Really? Okay, we see how that goes.
Poised to finally bring charges against the ex-president in the January 6th case. We've already seen and heard the evidence about Donald Trump's attempts to overturn the election and bring down our system of government. And if you believe that evidence, then criminal charges are the only possible response, because our democracy itself is at stake. The gravest crime that Donald Trump ever...
Okay. The way I see it, He said, if you believe that evidence. Why would he say something like that? If you believe that evidence. Because there's no evidence. Their narrative is, let's keep pushing the lie. Eventually people will start believing it. You could take it out of whatever book you want to believe it came out of a communist book, a fascist manifesto, Marxism. If you just keep telling yourself in the mirror, okay? You stare in the mirror, you're 200 fucking pounds. You keep telling yourself, I'm 180, I'm 180, I weigh 180 pounds. You may start believing that. But when you look in the mirror right next to the first mirror, you're still going to be 200 fucking pounds. See, that's what the mainstream media does, and that's what these leftist politicians do. They keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, and then come out and say something like he just said. If you believe it, then this is what needs to be done. It's not about if you believe it. It's about if it's true or not. If there's evidence to prove that it's true. Because if there's no evidence, you cannot go on the fact and say, if you believe it, then the only course of action is to arrest them. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. But it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. It's just like in the Obama administration when he passed that fucking law that, you know, if a girl, you know, just claims, you know, that she was raped, like what was happening with, you know, in the college dorms and stuff like that, then, you know, you have to believe it. And that made a lot of innocent college guys, you know, get into a lot of trouble. All you got to do is believe it. There's no such thing as believing it. I wake up in the morning, I believe I could be a millionaire, but guess what? I still take my ass to work. I'm not one day closer to being rich. Do I believe I can be a millionaire? Yeah. Am I anywhere closer to being a millionaire? Fuck no. But anyway, these are my opinions. I'm not even going to leave a link because obviously, I mean, you guys can look this bullshit up. But again, this is True Outlaw Patriot. Comment, like, subscribe, please. I'm just trying to get this channel up. I'm not going to try to put out any information that's bullshit as far as when it comes to lies. Like I said, if I think it's just too much of a lie, I'm not even going to put it out. I put this stuff out just to make people aware of the narrative that keeps going on. So people need to stay aware and keep an open mind. You know, I'm not telling you got to change from your political party, but just have an open mind that, you know what, that yeah, there are liars in government on all sides. But we need to start understanding that what's, like I've always said, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. You know? Because the truth of the matter is, if they found hard evidence against Trump and it was real true evidence against Trump, I'm not going to kiss his ass. He's just going to lose my vote. And that's it. That's just the bottom line. But till then, we'll see. And also, I'm going to make 2 corrections. I didn't mean to say Gorsuch. I meant to say Kavanaugh when Chuck Schumer was protesting against him. And I didn't mean to say Mike Epps. I meant to say Ray Epps. Mike Epps is a comedian actor. Ray Epps was that FBI implant that they put at the Capitol that day on January 6th. But anyway, again, like I said, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, pass this information on. It'll help me with the algorithm to keep making more videos. And just stay vigilant, people. Stay vigilant, keep praying, and keep praying for each other. Peace.